Israel has now officially rejected a US-backed 21-day ceasefire with Lebanon, which the leader of Hezbollah, by the way, Hassan Nasrallah, had accepted even without a ceasefire in Gaza. Remember, the reason why Hezbollah has been attacking Israel is due to the fact that Israel is raining terror on Palestinians in Gaza. They wanted a ceasefire in Gaza and would not stop trying to strike Israel until they, agreed to a ceasefire. Now, with Israel planning a ground invasion in Lebanon, you have the United States and its Western allies trying to encourage Israel to sign a ceasefire deal with with Israel in regard to Hezbollah in Lebanon, but Netanyahu's not buying it. So now Israel is continuing to bomb the capital of Lebanon, Beirut.
Hey, don't scroll away. Come back. Because before the video continues, we just want to urge you to lend your support to TYT. You power our honest reporting. You do it at tyt.com/team, and we love you for it.
More than 600 people in Lebanon have been killed by Israel since Monday, and 500,000 people in Lebanon have been displaced as a result of this fighting. Now, an Israeli warplane struck the edges of the capital, Beirut, killing 2 people and wounding 15, including a woman in critical condition. Lebanon's health ministry said. Now, that took deaths from hits overnight and during Thursday to 28. So now every day you're hearing about, dozens of casualties, and as we know, earlier this week, you literally had the single most deadly day in Lebanon since the previous war between Lebanon and Israel. And on that day, there were about 500 people who were killed. So this is just devastating news. The Lebanese health ministry said most victims on Thursday were Syrians killed in the town of Unayn and in the Bekaa Valley. Lebanon is home to around 1.5 million Syrians who fled civil war there, and now they're being greeted with more war in Lebanon.
So America just sent Israel $8.7 billion, and Israel just rejected our ceasefire requests. Those two things are not disconnected. They are 100% connected. So Biden says, please do a ceasefire, stop attacking Lebanon, stop attacking Gaza. By the way, here's $8.7 billion because I think you're doing a fantastic job of attacking Gaza and Lebanon. No, nobody's ever given me any amount of money and said, this is because I don't like what you're doing, let alone $8.7 billion. So that's Biden talking out of both sides of his mouth. So when the Israelis publicly humiliate us for the 12th time, 88th time, 128th, doesn't matter. Netanyahu comes out and goes, oh, America wanted a ceasefire. No, why? He just got an $8.7 billion check telling him yes.
Yeah, I would prefer if Biden were just honest with what he genuinely believes. So at least he can save himself and the country the embarrassment that we're currently undergoing. Because Biden is not against what Israel's doing. If Biden were genuinely against it, he would hold back the military funding and the weaponry. He is not doing that because he is supportive of what Israel is doing. So Biden is essentially calling for a broader regional war in the Middle East. And by the way, don't take this story as an isolated incident to make all of your judgments on. Take a step back and look at the broader picture, because not only have we approved the military funding and continue to funnel the weapons to Israel, but remember, there has been no indication really in terms of the actions of the Biden administration to show that they want to rein Israel in. Again and again, they say Israel has a right to defend itself. In no way will we hinder their ability to defend themselves. And that means continue to send them the weapons. Even now, Lloyd Austin said, we're gonna keep sending them the weapons.
Yeah, so look, the reason I come back to the mainstream media so often is because if people don't have the right information, they can't make the right decisions in a democracy. So mainstream media has said in every single article now, thousands upon thousands of times, and in every segment on television, that Joe Biden, Anthony Blinken, John Kirby, etc., they really want a ceasefire, and they're working day in, day out for a ceasefire, and they care so much about the Palestinian people and so much about peace. Never do they put the caveat of, they just at the same time sent them an $8.7 billion check. There's a $26 billion package, etc. If you're a real reporter, wouldn't you say, hey, Biden says this, but he does the exact opposite? None of them mention that he's doing the exact opposite. That is a weird groupthink for all of mainstream media to go, oh, golly gee, I don't know why Netanyahu keeps saying no when poor Biden is trying so hard. But you don't know that money is the thing that makes a difference, especially billions of dollars? You like, really? Isn't that like humiliating if you're a mainstream media reporter and that never occurred to you and you never put it in a single story about whether Joe Biden is actually trying hard for a ceasefire or he isn't? Did you ever consider that he might be lying? You never even considered that, did you? That's unbelievable.
Right now, the Biden administration, in my view, is doing what they can to manufacture consent for a hot war with Iran. Now, why do I think that? Well, think about all the propaganda that we've heard from members of the Biden administration in regard to Iran. So you had Avril Haines, who's part of the State Department, allege, that Iran is meddling in our elections and Iran is, funding the college protesters, allegations that Iran is behind assassination attempts against Trump. Has anyone presented any evidence for this? Or are we just supposed to believe it, believe them at face value? Okay, there's a story involving JD Vance's dossier, right? That got leaked. Everyone is saying that it was leaked by Iran. What is the evidence behind that? What is the evidence? Seriously, I want to know.
Yeah, no, look, is it plausible? It's plausible.
Of course it's plausible.
Right, so it's not like we're saying, oh, that's impossible and blah, blah, blah. But if you say, I'm never gonna show you the evidence, trust me that Iran is trying to do all these nefarious things right as Israel wants us to help them attack Iran. And I'm not gonna give you any evidence. And I'm a proven liar because I've told you 100 times that I'm working towards a ceasefire while secretly funding, not secretly, it's secret only because mainstream media reporters refuse to tell you the obvious fact, while openly funding the genocide in Gaza, the attacks against Lebanon, and sending one thank you note and a giant check after another to Netanyahu. So these are the liars pretending to be for peace who are actually paying for the war.
Yep.
So when you tell me that that war you obviously love and are trying to promote is by Iran, and then you tell me that you have all the secret evidence that you're never gonna share that Iran is doing X, Y, Z, you'll forgive me if I don't believe you, because you've proven what a gigantic liar you are over and over again for the last 11, 12 months here.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the impending ground invasion that the IDF is planning and how the Biden administration is allegedly divided on it, okay? So look, IDF reservists are also being called to active duty as Israel prepares for a ground invasion into Lebanon, which sounds like it's gonna be disastrous, right? I mean, it just continues to escalate. And while Iran has kind of stayed back so far and kind of said over and over again that they do not want to engage in war with Israel or the United States, we are headed in that direction. As long as the Benjamin Netanyahu regime in Israel decides that they want to keep going, they're going to keep going. And if no one stops them, this is just going to keep escalating. Now, according to the Washington Post, there are some divisions within the Biden administration. And I think that's also possible. But I'm also not buying that the majority of the Biden administration is against what Israel is doing right now. So let's get to some of these details. So for instance, you have some of the anonymous State Department officials telling the Washington Post things like, I can't recall, at least in recent memory, a period in which an escalation or intensification led to a fundamental de-escalation and led to profound stabilization of the situation. So that State Department official is essentially saying that Israel's talking point about how they're escalating this in order to finally arrive at peace, it's just not buying it, total BS.
Of course, no one that has more than 2 brain cells believes that you get to de-escalation through escalation.
Right.
You would have to be maniacally stupid to believe that.
Yes. Another senior official told the Washington Post that the US policy of military support to Israel should not be considered a blank check.
It's definitely a blank check.
I mean, it is. It's so obvious it is, but this is what the State Department official says. This is a senior defense official. As we've said to them, it's not unconditional. You cannot open a new front, meaning war with Lebanon, and there are no consequences. And that's not, in fact, the fastest way to return your citizens to the northern border. And that is the argument that Israel is using. We're doing this because we want the 70,000 or so Israelis who live near the border with Lebanon to be able to return to their homes. I agree that I agree with this individual. I'm skeptical that this is the right way to get to that.
Yeah, look, there's two different types of people inside the government, and that part is real and earnest. So one is lifelong bureaucrats whose job is being an expert on these policy matters, and those folks are not paid well. They're not part of any kind of donor class or anything like that. They're just going like, this is crazy. No one's ever heard of de-escalation through escalation. That's just the most maniacal thing. That's what you say when you know that you're above the law and you want to rub it in people's face. Go, yeah, it's an Orwellian thing I'm saying. Ha ha! It's almost like a way of showing dominance. There is nothing I can say to you where it's a big enough lie that the Americans will oppose it.
By the way, I just want you to all remember, okay, that Hassan Nasrallah, the head of Hezbollah, agreed to the ceasefire deal, the US-backed ceasefire deal, even without a ceasefire in Gaza. Wouldn't that allow for Israeli citizens to return to their homes because there's a ceasefire in place and they don't have to worry about Hezbollah? Seems like Netanyahu doesn't actually care about the Israelis being able to go back to their homes.
Yeah, look, guys, look at real reporting. Every real reporter explains, and here I'll give even some of the mainstream media reporters credit in Washington Post, New York Times, et cetera, that it's constantly Israel rejecting the ceasefires. So Hamas agreed to a ceasefire all the way back on July 2nd based on Israel's original proposal. Then Israel said, oh, you accepted? Now we're changing our proposal. So Hezbollah accepts the ceasefire in Lebanon, they don't care. Israel's the one not accepting the ceasefire. If you hear otherwise, honestly, go dig further, you will see the actual news, and it comes even out of Israel, right? And know that whoever told you that Biden wants a ceasefire or that Netanyahu and Israel are the victims here, and that it's the Hezbollah terrorists that rejected the ceasefire, not Israel. They're literally lying to you. It's not even close.
Yeah.
So
now, finally, let's get to some of the individuals in the Biden administration who are kind of behind Israel. And I think that's the majority of them, to be honest. So Matthew Levitt, who's an expert on Hezbollah at the Washington Institute for Near East Policy and a former counterterrorism official, told the Post that other administration officials are cautiously supportive of the strategy to de-escalate by putting pressure on Hezbollah, meaning de-escalate by escalating, which makes no sense. They are vigorously pursuing a diplomatic effort, but the leverage for it has been the Israeli escalation.
Yeah, Matthew Levitt's a liar.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Israel has not aggressively pursued any ceasefire deal. In fact, they have publicly rejected every ceasefire deal, including the last one proposed. Matthew Levitt is not stupid enough, no human being is stupid enough to believe that, if you just keep attacking and killing members of Hezbollah and keep attacking Iran and attacking, and then getting your ground troops ready, that Hezbollah and whoever it is, fill in the blank, whoever your opponent is going to go, we surrender to the mighty Israel. We fall humiliated in your honor and your grace, and we accept, we beg for your mercy. That's not a thing. Of course they're going to counterattack. That's not, please, really, Matthew Levitt, are you embarrassing yourself like that? Pretending that that's a thing that happens in this world where they just fall down and just surrender instantly? And no, of course not. They're going to fight back. The war's going to get way, way worse. Look, guys, here's the giant thing we do not know. What is Hezbollah and Iran's actual capabilities? Because if it turns out their capabilities are what they've done so far, no, Israel's going to get to humiliate them and slaughter them, and they'll destroy Lebanon, and there'll be no fight back, just like in Gaza. And then America will declare that the dirty Muslims were at fault and Israel had a right to defend itself. Maybe it'll just take Lebanon as it did with the occupied territories. I don't know how much land they're going to grab in the Middle East, et cetera. And so that's the situation we're headed towards. And so if we keep sending them checks, that's what they're going to do. There's no question about it. There's no one that could tell you, yeah, poor Israel. They had to attack every one of their neighbors, hit all of their capitals, kill hundreds of people there over and over again, because golly gee, there was no other solution. If Israel wants peace, it's super easy. Ceasefire with Hezbollah, ceasefire with Hamas, do a two-state solution, and you actually have a safe haven for Jews, which is what Israel was intended. But right now, they're not going in that direction at all. They're grabbing more land in the West Bank. They are demanding a further occupation of Gaza.
They're putting Israelis in more danger.
They're putting, so again, to finish the thought, you're absolutely right, Anna. If it turns out though, that Hezbollah and Iran do have bigger capabilities, as our officials keep warning us that they do, and they find a way around Israel's defenses, then it's gonna be the worst thing you've ever seen in your life. Because right now, over the last couple of days, 600 people were killed in Lebanon, but they're Muslims, so no one cares. Like literally, no one on earth cares, no one's gonna do anything. Israel's gonna get another big check for killing Muslims. But if Hezbollah can winds up killing 600 Israelis in a counterstrike, that'll be considered the second October 7th, and then Israel will get to bomb every country in the region, absolutely obliterate Lebanon, and we'll have to send not a $26 billion check, that was for Gaza, that was the easiest thing in the world. We'll have to send like a $260 billion check, etc. Because remember, Israeli lives are worth their weight in gold. It's the most precious thing on earth. Their Muslim lives around them are worthless, useless to Americans.
Yeah, and look, it is true that the majority of casualties, civilian casualties, have been and will continue to be Muslim civilians. But in Lebanon, you have a large Christian population. You have a large Armenian population, Armenian diaspora, who are also Christian. But it doesn't matter.
Nothing matters.
None of these people matter. Okay, civilian doesn't matter. They're going to keep carrying out this terror. When, again, there's another option, but they just refuse to take it because Netanyahu wants to stay in power. Really, at the end of the day, that is the foundation of the decision making taking place right now in the Israeli government.
Yeah, last couple of things here. Look, Anna mentioned that's terror, and that's what Leon Panetta, former CIA director, former defense secretary, said the other day. Israel is doing the terrorism. That is unprecedented for an American official like that to say something like that. And he's saying they've got to stop, but they're not going to stop. And so now that brings me to one last thing, was from one of our members from Twitch. It's funny handle Skittlebutt Dragon Ras, but what I tell you guys all the time is our members are infinitely smarter than every reporter in the country, almost every reporter in the country. So look at this simple statement. If you really want a ceasefire, you stop giving them bullets and money to buy more. That's the most obvious thing in the world, yet not a single major reporter in the country has figured that out. Oh, you want a ceasefire? Oh, you would stop sending them money for bombs and bullets. Oh, I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure it out. I thought Joe Biden was being an honest, decent man who really wanted a ceasefire. Okay, so that's where we are today. And at some point, if they figure out how to strike back, all your money is going to go to that war. There's already 40,000 US troops there waiting to get hit. There's no reason for them to be there other than to get hit, to be sitting ducks. We're gonna get dragged into this war. It is an absolute guarantee. The only way out of it is 2 years of massive frustration in America until things explode and we finally say enough with doing everything that Israel wants for no goddamn reason. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.